Welcome to Untitled. This is Will Sanchez. My special guest tonight is Ben Vesconte. He will be our coach who will explain the skill of movement. This is a very special episode of Gotta Run. We are filming at Technogym, located on Green Street in Soho, New York. To learn more about this beautiful place, we filmed this piece earlier today.
Thanks for coming down. As you know, this is the Technogym store in the beautiful and trendy Soho, New York. Technogym happens to be the largest fitness manufacturer in the world, and they pride themselves on quality, design, and technology of equipment. So here, this happens to be a functional showroom, which means this equipment is for sale, but we also do fitness classes, we do private training, and we have educational courses as well. So please feel free to have some fun.
Thank you, Josh. Take it away, Ben.
Welcome, everybody. This presentation that Lee Saxby put together in order to explain movement science. Lee's a big fan of Mr. Einstein, as he says, make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. If we oversimplify things, they become untrue. Saxby is at the forefront of applied barefoot science, movement science. He's been coaching barefoot running technique for over 10 years. He is famous for being called the world's best barefoot running coach by Chris McDougall, who wrote the book Born to Run. Daniel Lieberman did research where he looked at 50 Harvard cross-country athletes, and he studied them over a period of 3 years, just observing technique, and in particular the foot strike pattern. And the conclusion of the study, the habitual heel strikers had 2.6 times the injury rate as the habitual forefoot strikers. So you're 2.6 times more likely to get injured if you're landing on your heel compared to landing on your forefoot. If you look at any animals in nature, horses are a particularly good example, they have different gears. So a horse has 4 gears. As the speed increases, the force going into the body increases, and the horse needs to make a different shape in order to avoid getting injured. Humans have 3 different gears. Same principle. As the speed increases, the force going into the body increases, and we need to make a different shape in order to deal with that force to avoid getting injured. If we look at subdisciplines of biomechanics, they are kinetics and kinematics. So forces acting on the body and shapes that the body needs to make to deal with the force. Walking is a very efficient pendulum motion. So what we've got on the graph here, we've got 1 body weight, 2 body weight, 3 body weight, force acting on the body, and the time with which the foot is in contact with the ground. So it is natural when you're walking to land on your heel. It should be a heel stroke rather than a heel strike. And you'll swing your back leg through and roll off the ball and the big toe. But approximately 1 body weight of force. You always have 1 foot in contact with the ground when you're walking. Skillful running is hopping from 1 foot to the other. So it's approximately half the contact time on the floor and twice the impact force, 2 body weights. Sprinting, even greater force, even shorter contact time. But the question is, who taught the horse how to run? Who tells the horse when to change gear? The horse and all animals, humans included, have a somatosensory system. We receive information from our eyes, our inner ear, and our proprioceptive system. And the proprioceptive system works throughout the entire body and is the vast majority of that information, so 70%. Now, of that 70%, a huge amount comes from the plantar surface of the foot. 200,000 nerve endings, over a quarter of the bones in the body. Everything you need to move skillfully is in your feet. If we put noise between ourselves and the ground, as in modern cushioned running shoes, it dumbs down that sensory feedback. It stops really your heel doing its job and stops your foot being able to be the natural shock absorber. So putting cushioning in the shoe is having the shoe do the job of the foot, or try to. And it enables people to make a funny shape. Now, jogging is not a natural form of human locomotion. It's a hybrid movement between walking and running, and we'll define exactly what we mean by jogging a little bit later on. If we look at the time force curve, what you see is this peak here, this impact transient, and that is the heel cracking into the floor. If you think of the walking kinematic. It's a nice smooth curve. This is like the walking one, shoved back. The initial heel strike is happening in such a quick time, the body can't react to it. Yeah, this is not skillful. Let's compare it to skillful running, and you see that's a nice smooth curve. Okay? Now, if you ask anybody on the planet to jump up and down in their bare feet, doesn't matter where they're from, how old they are, what size they are, everybody will jump up and down and land on the forefoot naturally. No one would ever jump up and down and land on the heel. Yet, this is what a lot of people do. 80% of people are landing on the heel when they're running. But we're going to have a look at a little case study and then define the extremes of 3 different techniques and then analyze everybody's running. Here we have a case study with a traditional runner, running with conventional shoes. So as you can see here, 80% of shod runners, so people who are running in cushioned shoes, will run with this kind of technique. They're landing on their heel. Now, if you re-engage the heel with the brain, so the heel can do its job and actually communicate what is going on the ground, you'll continue with the heel strike for a few steps, and then you'll naturally stop because it hurts. The feedback will enable you to change from a heel strike to a forefoot strike. That should happen naturally. As I said, if you just jump up and down on the spot, you will naturally land on your forefoot. But this isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is the posture. Gravity is the greatest force on earth. You can't beat it. You have to work with it, which means an upright posture is crucial. There's also a natural rhythm of running around 180 beats per minute. It's not an absolute, you have to run at 180, but it's a coaching cue, so it should always be around 180 beats per minute. You also need to be relaxed. If you think about the best athletes, even when they're sprinting or running at full speed, their face is very relaxed, their shoulders are very relaxed. You use less muscle action when you're relaxed. These 3 styles are what we call a jogger, an unskilled forefoot runner, and a skilled forefoot runner. 80% of people running in cushioned shoes are running like this, and we define a jogger by saying the posture is leaning forward, so we're slightly bent at the hip. You can also be chasing with your head. The rhythm is usually slow. Walking is around 120 beats per minute, running is 180. Somewhere between 150 and 160 is what we'll say is jogging. Often people who run in that style don't look that relaxed, but some people can. As we said, running and landing on your heels is not a skillful thing to do. So all of that impact force when you land on your heel is of course going into your heel, but also into your shin, your knee, your hip and your lower back. So the most common running injuries, Achilles tendonitis or plantar fasciitis from the heel hitting the floor, shin splints, knee problems, hip problems, lower back problems. If you read Born to Run or get caught up in the hype of barefoot will fix me, all I have to do is take my shoes off, but you don't change the posture or the rhythm, all people do is flip around the injuries. So instead of having shin splints and knee problems, people rip apart the posterior chain. So we'll have metatarsal fractures, you still get plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis, but also soleus problems, calf problems, also hip and lower back. The holy grail on the right-hand side is skilled running. So all good runners show this form of running. Posture, segmentally aligned, head, ears over shoulder, over hip, over ankles, feet. Rhythm around 180, irrespective of the speed, and that's the movement skill model, is teaching people how to run very skillfully at a slow speed. And also being relaxed. When you're relaxed, minimizing muscle action, maximizing the body's natural free energy, free elasticity. We're going to have a look at everybody's running technique.
I started running in my 40s, and I ran way too much, too fast, and I injured myself, my hip, a few years ago, and I'm here to learn how to get out of that injury and continue to run again.
Excellent. So whenever we're looking at people's running technique, we want to look at, number 1, posture. Gravity is the greatest force on earth. You need to be as upright as possible. Number 2, rhythm. Have you got a nice quick rhythm and a short stride? And number 3, relaxation. How's your posture?
Okay.
think it's pretty good.
Okay.
I would say it's straight, yeah, absolutely. Do a little assessment on the rhythm. About 160. So it's not directly in between walking and running, but it's a little bit slow. The 180 comes from studying endurance runners, all the best athletes, and finding that all endurance athletes from 800 meters up to marathon beyond that actually run with a rhythm around 180. And it's important, even when you're doing your slow conditioning runs, to maintain that quick rhythm for elasticity and minimizing muscle action. You also look pretty relaxed, which is great. It's a good thing. One thing that is going on is we are landing on that heel. As we explained earlier, this is only really possible in the cushioned shoe when you're turning off your heel sensory feedback, which would stop you from doing that. So this, if it doesn't lead to issues down here or in your shin or in your knee, it can lead to issues in your hip. And that is probably what occurred with you. So let's help with that today.
I started running in 2007, and like Ozzy, I ran a little bit too much too quickly, and after about 4 or 5 months, I started having knee issues. Was laid up about a year with runner's knee. Finally started coming back. I've competed a few marathons now, but I do battle shin splints, and I've had bursitis as well, so definitely not injury-free.
Okay, let's have a look at your technique. Again, so we'll think posture, number one. How's your posture?
I think it's okay.
Yeah, pretty upright. Let's have a look at rhythm. So that's about 160. Let's have a look what's going on when you make contact with the ground. Front legs landing out ahead of you, landing on your heel. It's like driving down the freeway in your car and putting the brake on. Sure, we will be able to help today.
I've been running on and off since about 2002. Ran in a marathon, half marathon, but I have suffered some injuries along the way, mainly my knees. I tend to get a lot of knee problems when I run.
Okay, let's try and explain why and help. So first we'll look at you at 6 miles an hour. How's your posture? There's a slight lean.
Forward,
Yeah. The rhythm is quite slow. So if walking is 120 and running is approximately 180, you are pretty much spot on in the middle at 150. When you are making contact with the ground, so the loading, and we have got that
Massive heel strike.
Again, this just means that most of the impact force, the cushioning is going to get rid of a little bit, maybe up to 10%, but the rest of that impact force is going into your shins and your knees and your hip and your lower back. And if we keep repeating this action, it inevitably ends in injury. Let's have a look at a bit faster and see what happens. Rhythm is slightly faster, but the shape is also bigger, as in it's a longer stride length. Under 160, we can see there, you've got a very straight leg smashing into the floor with your heel. That is going to hurt. So in effect, you are landing on your heel with your back leg far out the back, and ultimately trying to jump up and down in that position is a very difficult thing to do. Not skillful. Okay, apologies. Let's help. All right, okay, that's why we're here, exactly. Tell us a little bit about your running
So I started running in my teens, and then in the late 90s I started to do long distance running, and I've run 6 marathons. I had plantar fasciitis in the very beginning of my training.
Okay. All right, again, let's have a look at what's going on here. Posture, pretty good. Rhythm, that's 161. It looks like you're making a pretty good shape, and you've got nice... If walking is a pendulum. Running should be like having your feet on a bike, circles, everything going on behind you. Yeah, and again, if we stop it on there, similar thing, we're landing, we've got the brakes on again. So let's help re-engage the feet, get a quicker rhythm, And the slower rhythm, again, it helps with the rotation of the upper, it enables you to rotate the upper body, and ultimately we want to minimize that rotation. Running is a sagittal plane, so everything in this direction. We want to minimize twisting and minimize rocking from side to side. Yeah?
I started running last year. Noticed I was getting a little out of shape, so I wanted to get back into shape. But then I had to take a few months off because I started to get knee injuries.
Aha. Raheem, let's have a little look what's going on. Okay, number one, how is your posture? Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. I mean, it's very straight, so your hips are extended, not sat down as it were, so that's good. How's your rhythm? We're looking at about 155 or so. I think you get full marks for relaxation. You look super chill. And again, it's all relative. So running, nice little circles. We've got little circles going on here. But if you want to get the most out of running at a slow speed, then running at a higher rhythm with a smaller circle will help to condition the body for adding further distance and faster speed later on, so you can be more efficient. Yeah. What goes on when we are running fast? So rhythms has sped up a little bit, I should say, and slightly longer stride. Still looking pretty chilled. Perhaps slightly more of a lean, but it's not too bad at all. However, and why were you getting problems with your knees and shins? Now, if we look at that inside leg, we just see that we've got the brakes on again. So let's help take the brakes off. Faster with less effort, more elasticity, less muscle action. The purpose of the toe exercises is really to re-engage communication with feet. It's an evaluation and an exercise in itself. So, number one, can we pin our big toes down and lift the other ones up? Our fingers kick in too when we do this. Hands and feet are very much linked, which is, it's crucial to have relaxed hands when you run. Otherwise your feet will tense up, you just won't know about it. This is like flossing your teeth for your feet. So good to do the toe exercises a few times a day. Next, can we roll our big toe over? So the only thing that's in contact with the ground is the end of your big toe. Yeah. This, definitely you're going to experience some sensation, let's say, rather than pain. Yeah, I mean, we're aiming for bordering on a 90-degree angle in that first met head. The next one, big toe forward, little toes back. It's the, I've got a thumb on my foot. The key here is to be pinning your big toe in the floor. Push it down as hard as you can. Just reawakening all the intrinsic muscles in our feet. If you have different range in one foot than the other, then the one that it's harder on, you need to do more of. The stronger the intrinsic muscles are in your feet, the more that your arch and your foot will be able to cushion and absorb shock skillfully and naturally. Let's see a hunter-gatherer, so a deep squat. All right, so come up. Let's see if now you can do a deeper squat, get your butt closer to the floor, and and it's a miracle. As we can all see, taking the ankle out of the equation enables us to get hips much closer to the floor, so much lower in a deep squat, and to maintain a straighter back. So everybody needs extra ankle range. And push the bar just behind you, so it should be behind the crown of your head. Yep, that's okay. And keep it there. Push the bar, so your arm should stay straight as you go down. Let's all have a blast at helping to open the thoracic spine, one foot in front of the other. Really want to be working on opening up the chest. Can we do that? Get all the way down without the bar rolling forward, and doing the thoracics. This will just open up your chest nicely. Can we, feet not too far, not too wide, not too turned out, bar behind you, straight down without the bar coming back too much. That's the goal. Next bit of the puzzle is jumping. Ultimately, skillful running is hopping from one foot to the other. But the skill of jumping is soft landing, so landing on the ball of the foot, engaging the big toe, and making sure that our heels kiss the floor, but they should only kiss the floor. It should make good contact, but not too heavy, so that we're dissipating that force as skillfully as possible. And we want to jump at a rhythm of 180, which is this. So psychological cue, just think jump, think lift on the beat rather than land. Shoulders should be nice and soft. Shoulders should be bouncing up and down. Okay, so make sure your heels kiss the floor. A little bit quicker, a little bit quicker. Shoulders nice and relaxed. Arms bobbing up and down. Okay, good. So when you're practicing doing this, I'm going to start off. See if you can do it for 30 seconds. 30 seconds jumps at 180 beats per minute is 90 jumps. So 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Just see how your calves are. If your calves are absolutely burning at the end of it, then that's where you need to stay, and you need to build it up from that point. The goal is to be able to do 5 2-minute rounds of 180. When you're doing the jumps, you want to stay in the same place on the treadmill. So just try and do those jumps as quick and as light as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, good. All right, you're staying in the same place, so you kind of got the hang of that. Just note how straight your posture feels when you do the jumps, and maintain that when you walk. Your chin tucked down, like that. See how now your ear is over your shoulder? That's exactly, now do the jumps. And then walk again, and just hold that neck posture. So we're running with a straight posture, with a rhythm of about 180. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Foot landing directly underneath you. It looks like you're landing with a flat foot, but the reality is you'll land slightly on the forefoot and then your heel will kiss, but the more skilled it is, the quicker that'll all happen. More on the forefoot on the right hand side. When you do it silently, it's spot on. The trick is the silent landing whilst allowing your heel to kiss the floor. Your heel kissing the floor allows your calf muscle to switch off. Hands a little bit higher and relaxed wrists. Slightly quicker on the rhythm. Think, kick your heel up in the air rather than it going, there you go, that's it. As we build up the speed, we're just going to do a slightly bigger circle, but maintain that same rhythm. So foot landing underneath you, nice little circle, hamstring pull. In order to maintain this rhythm, you're just going to pick your heels up. Slightly higher heel pull. Arms are along for the ride. Shoulders should be relaxed, hands and wrists relaxed. There we go. Thank you, everybody. That was great, going through the new running technique. Let's now have a look at the before and after to see what changes we made. So we're going to start with Aussie. So I mean, immediately we can see that the rhythm's slightly quicker on the bottom. We're going to stop on the important frame and have a look. So your posture was good before, it's even better now. Your head is slightly further in. The foot strike is directly underneath you as opposed to being slightly ahead of you. I mean, it's directly underneath your head. And you've got less of a trailing leg, and the trailing leg is crucial for good biomechanics in running. The closer you are to your center, the less muscle action, the more natural elasticity you're using. So let's just have a, that all makes sense? Yeah? And you were a good runner before, but this will help to condition the body in a healthy way. And you have the potential for injuries with the heel strike above, and a trailing leg can lead to hamstring pulls and things like that. So I would like to say, Aussie, great job, good work. Nice.
Thank you.
Kristen, let's have a look at the before and after. All right, nice. So again, we can see straight away, slightly quicker rhythm after. Let's stop it on the important point. Look at the inside leg there. What's interesting, you haven't touched the floor yet, just touching the floor there, and then you're loading there. Now, that means you've got a lot shorter lever. Your back leg is further round. You've got less rotation in your upper body. It's more skillful. Yeah? No heel striking as well. Fairly aligned. Yeah? Pretty much straight line. Let's have a look at full speed again. Of course, it's a new skill, so hands and wrists are a little bit tense, but the more you practice that, then you get to relax. The key is thousands and thousands and thousands of jumps on the spot so that you have a really nice, light contact with the ground and you dissipate the force as best as you can. Good job, Kristen. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Let's look at Raheem. Again, pretty good before, but posture's slightly straighter, rhythm's definitely a lot quicker. Running is a pulling action with the hamstrings. Stop and have a look at where you are loading. Now, it might only look like a marginal difference, but when you're doing 20,000 jumps in a half marathon or 40,000, that little difference is a huge amount of, it's a huge reduction in muscle action and increase in your natural elasticity. So it's just using your body's free energy. Yeah. If you want to get faster and faster and faster and be able to run further and further and further, do it like this. Good job. Well done, Raheem. Nice one. Maria, let's have a look. Now you're a good runner before. Tighten things up slightly. So on the bottom, you haven't hit the floor yet. Just touching the floor there. Loading there. Less rotation in the upper body. More of a flat foot landing. Slightly higher heel kick. Everything's closer to your center of mass. Looks a lot nicer. Good job. Well done. We're going to have a look at Mike next. Here we go. So Mike's posture's forward a little bit. Very slow rhythm on the top. So again, we've tightened up his back leg. Brought his back leg round. Improved the posture, and by increasing the rhythm there's less upper body rotation as well. So let's give Mike a big round of applause. Hooray! Well done, Mike. Well done, Mike. Thank you very much for coming along. Thank you for watching. Gotta run.